You with me here? Because it doesn't sound like it. Lipstick. Okay, yeah. Oh, then I just screwed up, but I never take it back from the kid. Thanks for the honesty. All right, so listen, it's very, very, very important that you stay focused. I've sensed a lot of distractions since you've come in the room. Learning from your mistakes. I'm starting to see, like on today's quiz, there were some mistakes made that should not have been made. That last question, with the exception of being 4% instead of 3%, you've done twice already. The middle question, I think you've done. So, yeah, or one very, very similar to it. Yet a number of people put a plus sign in there between the 5,000 and the 1.032. So there's problems. That means you're not preparing well enough if you made those kinds of mistakes. That's the whole point behind having that separate notebook and going back and going over the ones that you were getting wrong. If you had done that, you would not be repeating that mistake. Now I want you to go to your Regents exam mentally, fast forward a month from now, a little less than a month. You go to your Regents exam, you take the test, you walk out, you're a little bit worried about what's going on, and you come up to me and you say, hey, what about that number 17, which let's just say it looked like number 2 on the quiz. And you go, what's the answer? And I write out an answer similar to number 2 on the quiz, and you go, I put a plus sign in between. Well, you made that mistake yesterday, the day before, and you're still making it? So you need to prepare better. Performance is a function of what?
Preparation.
Prepare better, yes.
What do you mean, like, it was wrong that I put?
No, you didn't put the same one I'm talking about. I'll go through it. Ready? First off, number 1 is choice 4 because it says which situation could be a linear function. A linear function is, I put a wrong answer on that one.
Mr. Lindquist?
Hold on. The first one's not good. Second one is not good. Doubling is exponential. Third one. Oh, no, fourth one's right. Okay, I thought that was choice 4 because of this gap here. See this? So I figured that was choice 4. This is not good because it's decreasing by a tenth. A tenth is a ratio. It's not a common difference. I can't read that word. Concentration of medicine in a person's body that decreases by 5 units. That's going down by 5. That's a steady, constant rate of decrease. It's not a percentage. It's not a ratio. It's an amount. It's -5, -5, -5, -5. That is exactly what a linear relationship is. Yes?
On the take-home test, 8 and 9 are exactly the same question.
Then you're in good shape.
Okay.
All right, so now let's get to number 2 and talk about the mistake that I saw people make. Some people, listen, stop, look, don't look at anything else. Ready? Some people, everybody wrote 5,000. And some people in the parentheses wrote 1 plus 0.032 to the t. That's fine. It should really be 1.032. You should be able to handle that addition in your head. But I'm okay with that because it is equivalent. And the directions say to write an equation, so it's a correct equation, so it's not wrong. Some people are putting a plus between the 5,000 and the 1.032.
What? That's crazy.
Right? Unbelievable. Who would possibly do such a
Who
thing?
would ever do something like that?
Yes. So, listen, I didn't write this down. I should have. Everybody write this on your paper. Stop. Underneath this, write y equals a dot, meaning multiply dot, b to the x. That's where it comes from. Is there a plus sign in y equals a times b to the x anywhere? No. Therefore, there is no plus sign between the 5,000 and 1.032. Now, with respect to interest, there's a plus or a minus inside the package because the 1 represents the amount you started with, and the plus or minus is the change. So you're affecting what you started with the change. Yes? Okay. Now we go to this guy, and we solve it out. I was stunned that not every person in the room got this right. Completely stunned. To me, this is a gift. Some people didn't even have a clue where to start. It says here, determine the value of X in dollars that will make their pay the same. If it's the same, what is a mathematical concept for the same? Equal. Oh, I had people writing out a system of linear equations. That's only if there's an X and a Y.
Yeah, I don't know what to do.
Yes.
So, this question was on the take-home quiz,
Okay.
and so right now you're telling us to do 0.04. I did 0.03 on it, like.
Yeah, I think the one on the take-home quiz says 0.03. I just changed this one for the purpose of this quiz to 4%. So I think on the take-home it's 3.
Okay.
Yes.
It's not. I'm sorry.
So, for this one, couldn't you?
Can I ask what this one is?
For number 3.
Okay.
Couldn't you have like simplified it and like done times, is it times 10 or something? Like when it's a decimal or a fraction?
Oh, you could multiply by 1,000, and that wipes out all your decimals. That was an old technique that was very popular and very powerful when they didn't give calculators.
Okay.
But now that they give calculators, I mean, just press the buttons and it'll work itself out. All right, so that is your quiz. It has been corrected. I'll put them in the books in a couple of minutes. I am going to go pretty quickly on the answers to this because you're starting to see a number of questions time and again, and you're seeing the same concepts time and again. Okay, here's number 1. Take a look. If you got any questions, raise your hand. Let's get those homeworks out. You should kind of know the routine by now, guys. AJ, you'd be happy I did it your way on the second one here.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Any questions on these? Okay. Next up. When you get the solution to this inequality and it says x is greater than or equal to 6, then it gives you an interval from 4 to 8, and it says state all integers that work. So the integers, including the staple or the bracket means it includes it, between 4 and 8 are 6, 7, and 8 that work. My experience is that until you're used to that, some kids will mess up this part of the answer. Yes?
Why wouldn't 4 and 5?
Because x is greater than or equal to 6. 4 and 5 are not greater than or equal to
Oh, I
6.
didn't know there were 2 of the same. Oh, never mind.
Yeah, this is all connected within one question.
I thought the 2 was just like brought down with.
Right.
Wait, what is that?
It's from the homework last night.
6A?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's 6A?
No, so
All right.
Wait, I something completely different.
Next up.
Oh, just kidding.
You got to remember to double the first question there at the end when you get the radius, because it wants the diameter. God bless.
Bless you.
You'll notice on this question here, number 3, that there's no adding between the parenthesis and the initial amount. Just saying. Now, I don't really want you copying how to do things down right now if you didn't get it right. You can go home and watch the video and do that. What I care about is that you're seeing where you're wrong and you're marking it so that you can go back over it. And then if you look at my work, if you don't understand my work, raise your hand by all means. Yes?
why is number 3 the year 16? Like,
Because
you don't include the
it's
decimal.
2, it only gets deposited when they're 2.
Oh.
So that's why I circled them up here, 2 and 18. So 18 minus 2 is 16. Good question. Anything else? All right, let's go to scan 4. It's important you understand the concept behind a y-intercept if we're dealing with something that's done over time. The y-intercept is very important. It's always the starting amount because that's when time is equal to 0.
Wait, what was the answer for number 8?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't circle number 8?
No.
Oh, I didn't keep going. X plus 3, 9, 16. It'll be x plus 3 squared is equal to 16. Or what does it say here? Is which equation can be used to solve? I can't even read this.
Everything has the same solution as x squared plus 6x.
This would, because you would add the 7 to both sides, and then you do half its square. So that would become 3, add 9, you get 16. I started doing it by factoring because I just figured, oh, get the right answer. Then I looked at the choices and realized they wanted you to do completing the square. No one in their right mind would do that with completing the square if they really wanted you to solve it. Okay? To me, this number 9 one here is a really important question because that's about as hard as a factoring will get in this course. So if you can get that factoring right and solve that correctly, you can do, I believe, the hardest level of factoring in it. Now, they have that one where they go like x to the 4th minus y to the 4th that you might need to work on a little bit more. But this is the hardest factoring. Okay. Scan 5. It's important on number 12 you realize the 525 it's the only thing that repeats. It's the cost for each radio. Okay, those two. Both of those questions should be really easy for every person. Okay, any questions there? Next sheet.
Wait, what about?
Oh, 14's on the next page.
Okay.
Now, you'll remember we did a series of quizzes with this question a while back. Okay. The last part of this question says, give me a combination of hours. It's any combination from the double shaded area. In this particular problem, I came up with 5 and 8. You don't have to have 5 and 8, but it would be pretty close to it because this shaded bounded area right here it doesn't have a lot of solutions in it, but anything in here is good. Questions? Graphing inequalities is big. It's on almost every test. Okay, there's the graph of y equals the square root of x minus 1. Let me tell you the trick with this. Ready? Everybody stop for a minute. This is really, really, really important. Go to your calculators. It's a big deal. Don't forget about this. I remember when they put this was on the first Regents, and tons of kids got it wrong. And it's such an easy graph, and I'm going to show you why. Ready? Go to y equals. Now hit the square root button. Do you see how there's a parenthesis under there?
Yep.
Yeah.
Now watch what happens. Type in x minus 1.
In the parentheses?
Just type x minus 1. Don't do anything with the parentheses. And then hit graph. Do you see how you get a different graph? You do.
Because it's inside the parentheses.
Because it's inside the parenthesis. Now go back to y equals. And then you see where it says square root of x? You've got to close that parenthesis because only the x is under the radical. You got to close it, then put minus 1. And now hit graph, and you'll get what I got.
It looks exactly the same.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah,
If you close that parenthesis, then the x is the only thing under the radical. If you don't close the parenthesis, the x and the minus 1 are under the radical. And the difference is, hey, listen, the difference is this. If the 1 is not under the radical, it's vertical shift. If the 1 is under the radical, it's horizontal shift. That's what the big deal is. So you have to be on top of that and aware of how to put these things properly in your calculator. Okay?
It looks exactly the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you go through and you look at, God, I get so frustrated. It's not you, it's just, it's one of these days for me. Ready? I need my glasses.
Oh, I see that.
Yeah, watch.
Click them both.
Y equals clear, and then I'm gonna go down here, and I'm gonna clear, and I'm gonna go up, and we said before, do square root, ready? Now, notice, you know what might be the difference too? Well, let's see. It might be if you have one of these calculators that doesn't put a parenthesis right away. All right, now if I do -1, see how that's all under the radical?
Yes.
Okay, that's going to be horizontal shift. Now let's go to this one. Ready? Y equals, and then I'm going to go square root x, and now I have to end that. Now there's two ways to end it. One way, oh,
No, you do sideways.
yeah, I should have went sideways. Sorry about that. Now I should be out of the radical.
No, you're still under the radical.
Am I?
Yeah.
The box can't be blinking with an arrow in it. It has to be just a box. So go back.
Oh, wait, you just got out of it.
All right, good. Now I hit -1.
You're gonna get the syntax.
Yeah, because the minus is underneath the radical.
Oh, okay. So you know what? I'm just going to clear it. Yeah, the one that I have doesn't do this. The one that I have is, so x, and I got to go 2 to the right.
Yeah.
So -1. Now you'll see the difference in the two graphs right now. Let's go to zoom 6. See how they're slightly different?
Yeah.
Okay? So you really need to be very aware of exactly how you're inputting that data into y equals, or you could end up losing a point for something that's very, very simple. Okay. And here's the last one. I almost got this wrong, but I caught myself. Remember, it's changing y up top, so I added 3 to the y, and I got 8 for the y part, and then added 4 to the x. Okay, here's that graph. Pretty easy. Is 3, 2 on the line? No, absolutely not. I just looked at the graph to tell it. And this is the other one. It comes out to 18,000. All right, we did that a couple days ago. I think it's 18,000. I just kind of remembered that off the top of my head. But we've gone over that a couple of days in a row, so we should be good on that. All right, now, simultaneous equations are a very popular question for the end, or for the part 3 or 4 of your test. It's either worth 4 or 6 points. Here it is. You got to be able to nail this every single time. And for this bottom part, I did all the work right there. Okay? Again, don't copy it. I don't have time for you to copy it. You got to go home and watch the video if you want to copy it down. Just make a little note of what you did wrong. Okay? This is an interesting question. I remember kids struggling with this one when they took it on the test. The one that's yes is this one here, because the top equation is the same, and the bottom one, they just multiplied it by 2. So when you multiply both sides of an equation by the same thing, the answer stays the same. In every other one, they change something. Okay, next answers. On this bottom one, I added them together. I didn't show the work, but 33 and 12 is 45. And altogether, there's 180. So 45 out of 180 is a quarter, or 25%. And the last one here, you do, you input the data with stat edit, then you go to stat calc, linear regression, but you must make sure diagnostics are on. If diagnostics are not on, forget it. It comes out to a correlation coefficient of 0.94, and that suggests that there is a strong correlation between them. And we've seen this one, the product of two irrationals is irrational, is not always true, because today's example, square root of 5 times square root of 5 is 5. Any questions? Yes?
I got 0.974, number 20.
Maybe I wrote it down wrong. Anybody else get it?
Because there was like an r squared that was probably 0.94, but then underneath it is r.
Oh, maybe I misread it. All right, that could be. But whatever it says R is. All right? In fact, it should be right on here now.
What's r squared? What is that?
Oh, yeah, it's on my calculator right now. I can look at it. R squared is just the square of R. No, R is 0.94.
Oh, I got 0.96.
Yeah, well, maybe one of us entered one of the pieces of data wrong. All right, but I come up with 0.94. All right, so here's the deal, guys.